अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीवैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरे। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। So last week was a nice festive week, both the Navratri celebrations, the conclusion, and also Vijayadashmi of Dasera. A wonderful time to contemplate on the eternal battle which is going on in the material world, the battle between good and evil. There are two pastimes of significance, one which happened in Satya Yuga and another one which happened in Treta Yuga. So we will briefly discuss those pastimes because the pastimes and the import of those pastimes is relevant to the topic that we are discussing. Divine and demoniac nature and qualities. Somehow it coincided with Navratri, our discussion of divine and demoniac natures. Devasura Sampada. So there are two prominent historical pastimes. Again we say history because we accept all Puranic narrations as histories. The word Puran just means old ancient history. And more recent histories of this planet are known as Itihasa. There is a difference between Purana and Itihasa. The Ramayana and Mahabharata are called Itihasa. Itihasa means Iti ha asa, so it was. The Itihasa generally refers to history of our planet. And the most important histories of spiritual value on this planet are Ramayana and Mahabharata. Unfortunately, our house so opera is not in the list because not everybody will get so much spiritual benefit by listening to our life story. When we hear about the divine pastimes of Lord Krishna, Lord Ramchandra, in their respective historical settings and with all the drama around it, it is not only having entertainment value, but a lot of spiritual purification value and devotional value for those who study and share it. So Itihasas are referring to the histories of this planet, and the Puranas refer to the histories of the universe. And that's why sometimes you hear about personalities and stories which seem so far out, because many of those stories didn't even happen on this planet. They happened in some other part of the universe, somewhere in another loka. For example, the battle between the Devas and the Asuras, the churning of the milk ocean, they are not things which have happened here. So the Puranas recount significant historical episodes in this universe, and they have been recorded by the sages because they have some specific spiritual value because of the involvement of either the Lord or his incarnations or one of the prominent devas, by hearing which not only do we get purification, but we also learn spiritual and moral lessons. So these have been recorded by the sages, and these are all known as Smriti Shastra. Smriti. There are two types of scriptures, Shruti and Smriti. The original Vedas, which are unchangeable and eternal across all creations, are known as Shruti. Those which are revealed at the beginning of creation and are heard and shared from generation to generation. And then there are Smritis, that which is remembered and recorded and passed to future generations. And these are the Puranas, the Smriti Shastra. The Puranas recount various wonderful exploits of the Lord or his empowered devatas. So Vijayadashmi is connected to one such great personality. There are two actually pastimes which are linked to this particular day. One is, which is in close connection with the Navaratri festival itself, which is that of Durga Devi. So I will briefly recount the pastime for our purification and for our knowledge. So it is said that there was a very, very powerful demon. His name was Mahisha. Actually, he was called Mahisha because he loved to take the form of a buffalo and create havoc. When you see a bull or a buffalo who is in an intoxicated, maddened state, nobody wants to be near him. He will just go around creating destruction and havoc everywhere, right? Yeah? So he was that kind of person. The typical Asura qualities that we have been discussing. He performed severe penances, pleased Lord Brahma, and got a benediction to the effect that he could be killed by no Asura, no Deva, no human, no animal. He practically covered everything except he didn't cover that he cannot be killed by a woman. Why? It was below his dignity to ask that kind of benediction. He was thinking, how can a woman possibly be of any challenge to me? You are so powerful. And eventually, as we will learn, that ego is what actually causes destruction. Because that left a loophole which was exploited by the Devas. So it is said he created a lot of havoc, and when the Devatas could no longer tolerate it, they approached the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, and they requested, please help us to solve the problem. So the three Devas combined their respective energies, their power to create, actually I should not use the word create, to manifest this very, very powerful energy, which is Durga Devi. Of course, when we talk about these pastimes, it is not that Durga Devi doesn't exist before this pastime. It is just a pastime where the energy actually takes a manifest form and becomes known to the world. It's not that Durga Devi didn't exist before that. Because Durga Devi is none other than the energy, the material energy of the Lord. She is the Bahiranga Prakriti. The Lord is known as Vishnu and his energy is known as Vaishnavi, his potency. Right? There is Purusha and there is Prakriti. Yes. So the external energy, the Bhiranga Prakriti of Vishnu takes the form of Durga Devi. So this potency was manifested in a beautiful form as a lady, and she folded her arms and said, "What is the seva that I can do?" And she was informed that this is the specific cause why your presence has been invoked, and we need this seva from you. So, yes. And they said that to help you to achieve this mission, we will give you various tools in the form of various weapons. We said Lord Vishnu gave his chakra, Lord Shiva gave his trident, Brahma gave his kamandalu, Indra gave his vajra, various devatas gave various weapons. And the goddess, we have seen, we have various arms, carries all those weapons. You can see the trident in her hand, you can see the chakra in her hand, you can see the dada, you can see a sword, you can see a shield, you can see a noose, various weapons. So then, having been given that mission, at one time she actually happened to be, of course, she presented herself in front of Mahisha, who didn't know who she was, and she was manifested as a simple, beautiful lady. She didn't show her full 8-arm form, and Mahisha, like any other asura who sees an extremely, exquisitely beautiful woman, immediately wants her for himself. This was Ravana's problem also. This is generally the asura mentality. Asura mentality is anything extraordinary should be my possession. I should be with somebody else. So he came to her and said, "Oh, beautiful maiden, why don't you marry me?" He didn't waste any time. Okay. Instant proposal. So she said, "Oh, well, you see, I can marry, but I have one condition. And that condition is, whoever wants to marry me must defeat me in battle." What is this? Such a simple condition. I can easily defeat you. Why you are putting such a condition? So easy. Okay, no problem. So I will fight with you. So he took it very lightly. But he was soon to realize that this is no ordinary lady. And he said the battle went on for 9 days, 9 nights. And no matter what Mahisha tried, he couldn't defeat Durga. Durga Devi was playing with him for a long time. Until finally, the Devas became very worried. Why it is taking so long? So on the day of Vijayadashmi, it is said, Mahisha came charging towards Durga Devi in the form of a buffalo. And as he came charging towards her, the Devi who was sitting on her Vahan, which Vahan? The tiger. As Mahisha came close, charging, she put one of her foot on his neck, pushed him down onto the ground, took her trident, which Lord Shiva had given, and chopped his head off. And much to the delight of the Devas, and it is said she became famous as Mahishasura after that episode. And this is considered a celebration of the victory of good over evil. Mahisha, buffalo, represents false ego, pride, arrogance, power which is infatuated with ego and arrogance. That was the very personification of Mahisha. And the Devi destroyed him on the day of Vijayadashmi. Vijayadashmi is also celebrated as the day when Lord Shri Ramchandra, after a long battle of around 10 days, finally, when Ravana was already defeated once. If you are not aware, in the battle of Ramayana, in the final battle, Ravana appears in the battle one day. I do not remember whether it was after death or was it after Indrajit's death? He becomes so infuriated that Ravana just comes into the battlefield. But at that time, he is actually defeated by Ram and is left without any weapons and he goes back. Lord Ram doesn't kill him that time. Because Lord Ram says, I do not attack an unarmed person. Anyway, on the last day, the 10th day, when Ravana comes, it is said that Lord Ram chopped off his head, but every time a head would be chopped off, another would come in its place. And of course, the Lord knows everything, but he pretended as if he didn't. And he was wondering, like, how do I kill this person? Even if I chop off his head, I mean, there is no more guaranteed way to kill somebody than chopping off his head. Anywhere other place you shoot, you can still say he may survive, but chopping off the head is like the ultimate. That's what Durga Devi also did, right? She just chopped off his head, Mahishasura's head. Vibhishan, who was with Lord Ram, who knew all the secrets of Ravan, he informed Lord Ram, apparently, because Lord Ram knew, he informed Lord Ram that you can't kill Ravan like this because he has Amrit Kalash. He has the nectar in a Kalash, and that Kalash is stored in his navel. It is hidden. As long as that Amrit is with him, no matter how many times you chop off his head, he cannot be killed. Another head will grow. Because of the influence of the Amrit. The Amrit is such, it has a very powerful regenerative property. One limb is cut, it immediately grows. It's sci-fi, science fiction. You see some movies that kind of immediately will grow. Instant. So Amrit has that kind of quality. So then Vibhishan hinted to Lord Ram that you must first use the Brahmastra, second you must aim at the navel, not at the head. So Lord Ram chanted the Brahmastra mantra, invoked the Brahmastra, aimed this time not at the neck, and said the Brahmastra first evaporated the Amrit and then pierced Ravan. And Ravan couldn't survive that attack and he fell down onto the ground and was defeated. So that is the day of Vijayadashmi. And that is also celebrated as the victory of good over evil. So these two are very auspicious occasions for us to remember two things, that while we are in this world, there will be a continuous struggle between good and bad. Second, if we stick to dharma, eventually good will win, no matter how hard we think it is. Ravana seemed invincible, but was eventually destroyed because he was on the side of adharma. Same thing in the Mahabharata story. The Kauravas were apparently so much more powerful than the Pandavas. 11 Akshavani divisions, while the Pandavas had only 7. They had the most powerful warriors, Bhishma, Drona and Karna, all three of whom were actually practically more powerful than Arjuna. But because Krishna, Dharma was on their side, they could eventually come out victorious. So a little contemplation on this before we go into the verses. It is said, I'm talking about coexistence of evil and goodness. In this material world, always good and bad will coexist. Always. There will never be 100% bad, nor will there be 100% good. Even if there is a lot of good, somewhere some some mixture will be there. As long as one is on the material platform, the gunas are always mixed. You will not find 100% sattva. You may have 80-90% sattva, but some rajogun will be there, some tamogun will be there. Sattva in its pure form, Shuddha Sattva, is not found at the material level. It is only available at the spiritual platform. So it is said, in Satya Yuga, the Devas who represent good and the demons who represent the bad would be staying on different planets. The Asuras would be moving in one place and the Devas would be moving in another place, and they would have interplanetary conflict. Star Wars. Correct? Hiranyakashipu would be ruling some planets, the lower planetary system. Indra and the Devatas would be ruling the higher planetary systems, and they would attack. I don't know whether Star Wars is inspired by some of these stories, but they would actually have this interplanetary conflict where they would actually attack each other and try to take over the planets of their adversaries. So the Devas and Asuras, the good and the bad, would go on different planets. As it converted from Satya to Treta, the good and the bad came to the same planet, but in different countries. Asuras like Ravana would be in their country. Divine forces like Lord Ram would be in their own country. They are on the same planet, but in different places. So they came a bit closer. And they were having conflict. In Dwapar Yuga, it got even worse. The good and the bad were now not only in the same country, but in the same family. The Kauravas and the Pandavas. Not just same country, same family, cousins. Correct? See, as you start coming closer, the conflict gets even more difficult and challenging. Yes? Why? Because as it comes closer, the conflict also has collateral damage. First you go and fight on another planet and come and you destroy them. So it's okay. Here you're on the same planet, so you're affecting the same planet. Now you're in the same family. So when you fight in the same family, the damage is more, right? It's even more difficult. And that was Arjuna's problem at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. How am I going to fight? Here to fight the demons means to fight my own cousins, to fight my own guru, to fight my own grandfather. So difficult. That was Dwapar Yuga. What happened in Kali Yuga? Good and bad are not just in the same family, but now they are within the same person. The same person sometimes is so difficult to say whether it's a good person or it's a bad person. Previously, at least it was clear that this person is good, this person is bad. It was quite obvious. Now it is so difficult because both good and bad are inside. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So now the battle has become even more difficult because now the battle is not outside. Where is the battle? The battle is inside. You cannot say he's a demon, I am a devata. In Kali Yuga, you cannot be pointing finger to others. You cannot say I am Ram, he is Ravan. Each person inside him has Ram-like qualities and Ravana-like qualities. So what is the fight? The fight is not just about destroying others outside. The fight is about finding the Ravan inside and burning him. So on Vijayadashmi, when we are burning this effigy of Ravan, one of my friends in school, he sent a big poster of Ravana burning and Ravana crying out. He was shocked. Apparently, it's a meme. The The caption was, "Oh, do you think you are Ram that you are burning me?" So it's like saying, "Why are you throwing?" Like the Christ said, "No, don't throw stone at me unless you are free from all sins." Right? In the same spirit. But people don't realize the point. When we are burning Ravan, it is not about burning some demon outside. In Kali Yuga, it is about recognizing the demon within us and burning that demon within us. The effigy of Ravana outside is just it's a symbol. But what is it that we actually want to burn? We want to burn the 10 anarthas. The 10 heads of Ravan who keep on coming up. No matter how much we try to suppress them, they keep on coming up. You think you have killed one, after some time another will come. Sometimes lust head will come up. Then you think you have controlled it, anger head will come up, greed will come up, envy will come up. And no matter how much you try, they will keep coming up. Sometimes you think you have conquered lust, but after some time again lust will come up. So this is an endless, continuous battle which each of us is facing day to day, moment to moment. The fight between good and evil is being endlessly enacted at a moment to moment level in our own hearts. Continuous struggle. Sometimes good seems to be more powerful and overcomes evil. Sometimes evil overcomes good, isn't it? That's why sometimes we are very devotional, sometimes we are very arrogant. Sometimes we see some person behaving in a very rash way, very offensive way. And then suddenly another day we see him very devotional, very nice. And then we think, is this the real him or is this the real him? Or sometimes we see saintly people, but suddenly a scandal comes out. Was he actually a saint or is he actually a demon? But the problem with us is we try to immediately put the person into one of the two brackets. Correct? We try to either label him as a saint or label him as a sinner. But there is a beautiful saying: every sinner has a future and every saint has a past. Nobody is an all-time sinner or nobody is necessarily a saint who has no skeletons in the closet, as they say. But we are not concerned to find the bad in others. We are concerned only that each person is continuing his battle and slowly but surely eliminating the demons. That is important. Whether you are at 5% point in the race or 10% or 80% or 90%. Sometimes even when you are 90% through the way, suddenly some leftover demon will come out and overshadow. And then people say, I thought he's saintly, but he became so demoniac. But those who are well versed in spiritual knowledge are very careful that they do not try to compartmentalize and just say, oh, this person is good or this person is bad. And that is what we learn through Mahabharata. Through Mahabharata we see sometimes the good side of the demoniac and sometimes the weakness of the saintly people. Yes? Correct? Karna has a bad side, Karna also has a good side. Yes? Duryodhana had so many negative qualities, but on certain aspects he also had good qualities. Of course, his bad outweighed his good. Karna was a classic character who was struggling in the middle. He wanted to be good, but ended up on the bad side and messed up his life. Because he did not discriminate finely what is dharma and what is adharma. Karna is a very classic character to be studied. Of course, a very big topic, but Karna is actually a demoniac person who takes on the garb of dharma and becomes actually lost, not knowing what is good and what is bad. and eventually destroys himself because he doesn't know where his allegiance lies or where his allegiance should be placed. That's a very big topic. We'll not go into that now. But why I say demon, there is a story behind that also. Actually, Karna in his previous life was a demon, an asura. That's another story. We're not going to that today, but that's another interesting episode. One day we can discuss. And that is why he couldn't actually take the side of dharma, because his buddhi was always influenced. In spite of taking birth from Kunti, his past, asuric past, always influenced him and made him repeatedly make the wrong choice. So even though there was a good dimension to him, whenever the time to take the right decision came, he would falter. Even when Krishna gave him the right intelligence, the right advice, he was unable to take the right decision. Anyway, that's Karna's story. But sometimes you can see, whether it be Bhim, Yudhishthir, Arjun, in certain cases their weaknesses would come up and they would make mistakes. But these are cases where people are greatly saintly, but there are some small weaknesses. So, the moral of the story is, each of us have to more or less extend a mixture of good and bad qualities. The battle must always go on. Even if you are 95% bad and 5% good, if you have acknowledged and understood your current situation and you are sincere about making the journey to eliminate the bad qualities and become good, then you are considered saintly. Yes? Why? Because you have undertaken the task of purification. Even though you may have not yet crossed the ocean, still Krishna says, I consider him a saint. Because you understood the truth and you are making an effort to live a life based on truth. Even if you make mistakes sometimes, Krishna says, I consider you saintly. As long as you are sincere and not duplicitous. We are not talking about those people who are actually cheaters but who are projecting themselves as sadhus. We are talking about those people who are sincerely trying to follow the path of dharma, but because of their conditionings and past history are struggling to follow it and making mistakes. That God is willing to forgive, but not pretense. So this eternal battle of good and evil is happening within our hearts, especially in Kali Yuga. And this head of Ravana will keep repeatedly coming until we use the most powerful Brahmastra of Lord Ram. There is only one Brahmastra which can actually kill this Ravan who is in our heart. What is that Brahmastra? Devotion. Pure devotion to the Lord, which is executed especially through the process of Ram Nam, the name of the Lord. The most powerful weapon which eventually was used by Lord Ram. For us, that weapon to conquer the Ravan inside is the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Iti Shodashakanam Kali Kalmashanashanam Natah Partarupaya Sarva Vedeshu Dushyate. Lord Brahma says there is no better weapon seen in all the scriptures to remove this contamination from the heart in Kali Yuga other than the chanting of this 16-worded mantra. This is the opinion of the Vedas, the opinion of Brahma. So yes, we know there is good and bad inside. We know there is a Ravan inside. We have been trying to subdue this Ravan. When we are in the Bhagavad Gita class, the Ravan seems to be sleeping. And we think we are so saintly. Only divine thoughts are coming in my heart. As soon as we step outside, the Ravana wakes up. no more Bhagavad Gita. So he will immediately start giving other suggestions. Today is Saturday night. Why don't we do this? Yes? If the Ram consciousness is not strong, then as soon as you go outside the class, the Ram consciousness will go to sleep, Ravana consciousness will come up. That is why scripture says you have to always be Krishna conscious. And the simplest way to always be Krishna conscious is to keep Krishna in our consciousness by always chanting his name. That's the simplest way. Because you cannot be doing puja always, you cannot even be reading Bhagavad Gita always, you can do it for some of the time and you should do it. But what is that one activity which you can do always, even if not audibly, at least in your mind? Ideally we should do audibly because when we think we are doing in the mind, we are actually going to sleep. Always going to sleep. So the best way is utter the name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Once it was asked, what should one do when one is being overwhelmed? Haridas Thakur was asked by sinful things, sinful thoughts. If one is feeling overwhelmed by Ravan, sometimes you know the wrong thought is coming. Sometimes you know I am being overwhelmed by the Ravan. This is not good, this is not right, but one is struggling. Oh, I am doing the wrong thing, I am doing the wrong thing. How should one react? How should a devotee react? He should loudly chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is the Ram Band which can actually eventually conquer this enemy in the heart, the Ravan. So the lesson through all of this is, when we are reading these demoniac qualities, they are not being mentioned here so that you can look for them in others. Okay. It's not that we make a list and say, Ravi, all these are in you. Ashwini, these three are in you, I noticed. So the problem is when we read about bad qualities, we are trying to find. I see this in you, I see this in you, I see this in you. That was not the objective, because the Ravana is not to be captured outside. When we read about these negative qualities, we should look for them where? In our own hearts. Which of these 10 heads are in our heart? All these arrogance, conceit, anger, lust, greed, envy, what is there? And how many of them will we find in our own heart? All. To lesser or greater proportion. If we are in this world, we can be sure all of them are there. Some may be babies, some may be grown up, some may be adult. But in different proportions, they are all there. And we have to deal with them. Most of the times now, we are just tolerating them and managing them in a way that in public we somehow control them. At least we look good. We have to manage. We have to wrap them. We have to wrap our lust and greed and anger in a nice package so that we don't appear unsophisticated. We appear sophisticated. So we just try to conceal them. But that's not going to solve the problem. Correct? Is that going to solve the problem? If something is inherently dirty and you are just spraying perfume on top of it, it's not going to, the perfume will go off after some time and again the smell will come. So what we have to actually do is to clean. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpan Marjanam Bhava Maha Davagni Nirvapanam. If you want to stop this burning in your heart, this burning of suffering which is happening in your heart, which is because of these anarthas, then you have to clean them. Remove them from your heart. And how to remove them? Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. through the process of Sankirtan of the Holiness. Okay? So, as we are going through these qualities, a gentle reminder, this is not to check against your neighbor, your colleague, your boss, your spouse. This is for your own checklist. When you look at others, what should you look for? This is the difference between the vision of the devotee and the vision of the demon. I'll give you a short story. Once Yudhishthir, this was, I don't remember all the details of the story, so forgive me if I get some of the details wrong, but the essence is still the same. It was once asked, if I am not wrong, it was asked to Drona, why do you appreciate Yudhishthir so much, and why do you think Duryodhana is not so good? You are being partial to assess him like this. So he said, okay, no problem. Let's do one thing. We will send both of them on a mission. We'll assign the same mission to both of them, and we'll evaluate them at the end of the day. So the morning, they were both assigned a mission. So the mission assigned, actually not the same, there was slightly different mission. But I'll tell you what the mission was. So the mission assigned to Duryodhana was, your job is to go throughout the kingdom, you have the full day, get a list of people who are better than you. Okay, who are better than you. And Yudhishthir was given the mission that go throughout the kingdom and find somebody who is lower than you. End of the day, both come back. Both come back empty-handed. Duryodhana says, I searched everywhere. There is nobody better than me. What to do? So sad. My kingdom is in such a sad state. Nobody better than me. And Yudhishthir says, oh Gurudev, I searched everywhere. Everybody has good qualities. But I have so many bad qualities. I could not conclusively say about anybody that I am better than you. I cannot conclusively say. In everybody I found something wonderful, something beautiful, which I felt was in a better proportion than myself. So that is the vision. The vision of the Sura and the vision of the Asura. The vision of the Asura is, good is in me, bad is in others. It's something very interesting. No matter how demoniac a person is, if you ask him for his own self-assessment, he will think he is very good. And there is a very good reason why he is doing what he is doing. This is the nature of the world. No Asura thinks, I think very bad one. That assessment that one actually has bad qualities is the beginning of Surahood. When one genuinely assesses and realizes, I actually have a problem. That means one is already turning to the other side. But the actual Asura never thinks like this. The actual Asura thinks, I am good. He is the problem. Correct? That is how Shishupal was thinking. I am the good person, Krishna is the bad person. He is the cause of the problem. So, again, what this story is pointing to, the saintly person looks for the good within everyone else and looks for the bad within himself. Why? Because for spiritual advancement, it is very important that one treats others with respect and one is critical examiner of oneself with a view to improve himself. Because improving others is not your job. What is your job? Unless the scriptures say you are in a position of a parent, a guru, or a king, or a leader, where it is your duty to help others improve. Then you can, with the right motivation, do the needful to help others notice and understand their shortcomings so that they can improve. If you have that role, then it's okay. But still to be done in a positive way. If not, it is none of your business to try to evaluate others. Because most of the time, your evaluation will be wrong. Point number one. Because we actually do not know what is actually happening in the life of others. Why they are behaving the way they are. What is their specific situation? What is their specific circumstances? What is their specific karma? Is it that 1% of the bad is just coming out now and normally is 99% good and you are judging him based on that 1%? You wouldn't know, isn't it? It's actually so very hard to judge. So the best approach is don't judge. Why do you even want to judge? What is the need to judge? If there is nothing that you are going to do about it, why to judge? Correct or not? If there is nothing you are going to do about it, in the sense, for example, he is your child. Yes? In his case, his good or bad is of relevance to you because you are responsible to take care of him. So yes, you have to critically examine with a positive intent. But somebody else is not your job. How does it matter? Of course, it matters only in terms of if you see an excessive bad quality, you may just decide to keep away. You don't want to also. Yes, in that sense. But not from a judgmental perspective. You don't have to judge and label.
But if you don't judge, then how will you know?
No, when I say judge, means we are talking about labeling. Of course, prima facie, we will all do an assessment. That is normal because intelligence will immediately say. But you do not have to put that label on that person. Basis your experience. You may come to a conclusion, oh, based on this behavior, I think he is a crook. You may have that doubt. And based on your experience so far, you may be careful. But at the same time, you don't have to put a label or judge. There is a difference between immediately labeling him and putting him into a bucket and based on your own experience, be cautious in dealing. You understand? There is a difference. If there is a tiger in front of you, you still have to protect yourself and take care and do the needful. It doesn't mean that you have to go and embrace him. I love everybody. Tiger, come. You don't have to do that. At the same time, protecting yourself may be your interest, but because of that, you don't have to label the tiger as bad. The tiger is acting according to his nature. A demoniac person is acting according to his nature. And that nature may be good, may be bad. But the point is, your concern is your understanding of that nature, how you want to deal with him. But that dealing is your prerogative. But you don't have to judge and condemn. You understand? There is a subtle difference. Is it clear? So in simple language, don't bother. Bother to the extent that it doesn't directly impact you. It's very simple. No? If you are cautious, if you have a doubt because of certain things you have heard that this person is criminal, this person is bad, obviously when you interact with him, you are going to be cautious, and that is the sensible thing to do. That doesn't mean that you put your intelligence aside and act foolishly. If somebody has that reputation, and you wouldn't know for sure whether it's true or not. What we are saying is, we have to use our intelligence in dealing with people to protect ourselves. But we don't have to go around saying, oh, he's like this, he's like that, and go on enjoying discussing about or labeling somebody in a particular way because you don't know what the future is. Okay? So that's essentially what it means in simple. So as we are studying these qualities, it is very important that we keep this in mind, that the purpose is to identify the demons within ourselves and the mentality, the demoniac thought patterns that Krishna is mentioning in these verses. Okay? So we'll go through the next few verses. We are actually towards the end of the chapter. We'll try to see if we can cover up to 20 or 21. At least up to 20. Let's see. So we'll start with 17. We complete up to 16, right? Yeah. Atma sambhavitaha stabdha. Atma sambhavita stabdha. Dhana mana madanvitaha. Jajante nama yadnaiste. Dambhena vidipurvakam. Very interesting. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only without following any rules or regulations. So this is another face of demoniac mentality. Because demoniac people are self-complacent and impudent. Impudent is an aspect of pride. How do you describe impudent? Impudent is when you do or say things which is beyond your position or capacity. How come you are so impudent to say something like this or to do something like this? As they say, fools rush where angels fear to tread. Have you heard this phrase? Fools rush where angels fear to tread. So impudent means you are so proud that you don't understand your position, like a small, weak boy who rushes to fight with 5 people thinking he's a big hero. I just saw some Amitabh Bachchan old movie. Amitabh Bachchan can kill 10 people or fight 10 people at one time, so I'm also. Suddenly think you are a big hero, but actually you are not. And you act in a way which is beyond your capacity. Yeah? That is one aspect. Maybe there are more dimensions to it. But impudence is something like that. So people are so impudent that deluded by wealth and prestige, they sometimes make a show of religion. They may even do big sacrifices and pujas. But the purpose of those sacrifices and pujas is not about pleasing God. It is just about a show of their wealth and power. They are not even interested whether the puja is being done properly. Whether the rituals are even being followed. Why? Because they are not concerned about the ritual or the pleasing or the worship of the Lord. They are concerned about the show and the perception in the minds of people that I am very religious, I am very charitable. Correct? One simple example. People sometimes spend crores of rupees on a marriage with a big show. And what they tell the pujari? Make sure in half an hour you wind up all the rituals. Why are you taking so long? Why are you saying so many prayers? Cut. Because what they are not interested in the Vivaha Yajna. They are not interested in the vows. They are not interested in the puja of the Lord, in the purification that is involved. They are interested only in the tam jam. Let me quickly get this done, and the real thing is this big show. Yes? Correct? Just one example, and there may be so many more. So sometimes people do big ceremonies, big yajnas, give big charity. Like we said last night for the photo op. Nowadays, even politicians are visiting temples, becoming very holy. People who never visited temples are visiting temples. Suddenly very devotional. So do we say that in Navaratri the suddenly devotion came? No, not necessarily. Again, I don't want to judge an individual, but generally speaking, when we see this kind of a transformation suddenly in a particular season, we should understand that quite likely the motivation may be something else. It is not the interest in the vidhi, the interest is in the perception, in the projection, in the image building. Because that image gives a particular, could potentially give a particular benefit. Krishna is saying that is considered demoniac, even though there may be religious activities involved, because the motivation was never right. Yes? Okay? Verse 18. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodam cha samshritaha mamatma paradeheshu pradvishanto abhakshuyaka pradishyanto abhyasuyakaha. Bewildered by false ego, strength and pride, lust and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion. It's something very interesting. Why demons are called here as envious of God? And why it is said here that they are envious of God who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others? Why do you think it is mentioned like this? Anybody? They think they are the greatest. Okay, that's one aspect. What else?
God is present in everyone.
Hmm.
Because they think they are greatest, they are so ignorant about that.
Okay, very good. They fail to understand the presence of God in every living being. And the second thing is they fail to see that all abilities, all manifestation of opulences, everything, even whether manifested in them, their personality, or manifested within other living beings, when they are hating or envying, all those things are actually opulences of the Lord. So they are actually envious of the Lord. You understand? When you are, even though you are envious of a fellow living being, that envy is actually envy towards God. If you think about it at a deeper level. Why? Because that extraordinary manifestation in somebody, because all wealth, where is the wealth coming from? From God. All beauty, where is it coming from? From God. Intelligence, where it is coming from? God. When you are envying that opulence manifested in another person, you are actually manifesting, you are actually envying God's opulence. And you are causing harm to others. And because other living entities are part and parcel of God, envying any other person is also envying God. Because everybody is part and parcel of God. Yes? Yes, sir, those who are divine and those who have the right spiritual vision, They don't see that difference. They see that serving each living entity in a proper spiritual way is actually serving God, because all others are part and parcel of God. Of course, that serving has to be with proper spiritual understanding. You cannot see I will give you a glass of whiskey and because I am serving the by whiskey the service to God. No, one should know what service means. To help somebody, you must know how to help. Knowledge is important, but because the asuras don't have knowledge, they actually end up harming everybody. Even though sometimes they think they are helping. Okay? I'll give you a very simple example, to make it very obvious. Let's say somebody has 90% blockage into arteries. God forbid, but let's say one of your friends has, and he says, I don't have money to get it operated, and I have no other way. And Suraj decides to be very kind. Okay, so this is my friend, you are so dear to me, don't worry, I am going to help you immediately. I will perform the surgery myself. I want to help you. So he goes to the kitchen, brings a knife, brings a vacuum cleaner to clean the artery, and he's all ready. He wants to help. He's very sincere, very keen, very enthusiastic. Now, how many of you will be enthusiastic to participate in such a ceremony? So help can be done by those who have knowledge. You should know how to help. Enthusiasm is not good enough. Otherwise you will create damage. So same thing when it comes to religion, when it comes to spirituality. To help others, you must have knowledge. Because sometimes you think you are helping, but actually you are creating damage. But the damage may not be immediately visible because the damage is at a deeper level. It may not be obvious. Correct? You give another person a glass of whiskey. What is the damage? What is the harm? I am happy. He is happy. Both of us had a good time. Where was there any violence? Correct? Or as people argue, the boy was willing, the girl was willing, the night was so beautiful. What was the problem? But violence is not always committed at a physical level. Destruction of spirituality, destruction of character, destruction of one's divine qualities is also violence. So what meets the eye may not always be the truth. And what seems violent externally may not always be violence internally. And what may be non-violent externally may not be violent, may actually turn out to be violent internally. So dharma is very subtle. Dharmasya tattva nihito ruhayam. The tattva of dharma, the understanding of dharma is very subtle. You require proper knowledge to be able to discern dharma from adharma. To understand what is real help. To understand what is the right thing to do in a particular situation. Knowledge. But because the asuras don't have knowledge, they actually create chaos. Even when they want to do good, because they are actually wrongly motivated or without proper knowledge, they only create chaos. And all their activities are nothing but a manifestation of their envy towards the Supreme Lord. Ravan is the classic example. Anybody has a lady who is beautiful, you think why she should be with him? She should be with me. Ravana was the original terrorist. Because actually, he was called Ravan because he was a terrorist. Do you know this? Should I speak a bit about Ravana and his glory? So sometimes people who do not know Shastra, they just unnecessarily glorify an actual demoniac character. Sometimes they glorify Karna without knowing his actual background and mentality. They glorify Ravan, and they will have a victim. They play the victim card, saying, "No, actually he was good, but see, he was." But they don't know actually, if you look at the scriptures and actually study what was their actual background. I'll just mention a couple of things about Ravan. No disrespect, now he's obviously in the spiritual world. So no offense, but just analyze for our own understanding. Ravana was a terror in the universe. He was called Ravan because he made everybody cry. Ravan means he who makes others cry because of his extreme cruelty. Extremely cruel-hearted person. He was a very well-known serial rapist. If you read through the scriptures, there are already many cases of documented rapes which Ravan did. I will not go into those stories now. They are not of particular interest to us. In many cases, he was cursed because of his notorious activities. And he was extremely cruel in many other ways. Do you know Ravan was actually a cannibal? He would eat human flesh. Did you know? One of the dialogues which he told Sita Devi, if you do not agree to marry me by tomorrow morning, I will have you cooked for my breakfast. So he loved human meat. These are only some of his good qualities. There are a few others also. But he was actually a terror. He was actually a terror. Not just for ordinary humans, but even for the devatas. Anyway, enough of his story. But the point is, when we do not know what is good and what is bad, and Krishna will come to that verse in the next verse, where he will tell what is the problem that the asuras have. When you are full of lust, greed, anger, envy, all these bad qualities, plus you do not have knowledge, plus you are only interested in using religion to serve your own selfish purposes of your own lust, greed, ego, then you actually create havoc in the universe. So we'll go to the next verse. Okay, there's another very interesting statement. I think it's in another chapter. Anyway, never mind. We'll read verse 19. Tan aham dvishata kruran samsareshu naradaman shipami ajasram ashubhan asurishu eva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. So Krishna is giving the destination of what happens to such mentality. If you have a demoniac mentality, you will get birth in a demoniac species. What does demoniac species mean? You will be born amidst people and in situations where your mentality is in sync. See, Krishna gives birth based on what our desire in nature is. If you want good, Krishna will give you opportunity to be with good. If you are always driven by materialistic mentality, Krishna will give you opportunity to associate with that. So Krishna says, those who have this kind of an envious and mischievous mentality, I will give them births in such species. And what happens when such birth is given? Verse number 20. Asurim योनिमापन्ना मूढ़ा जन्मनि जन्मनि माम अप्राप्य एव कौन्तेय ततो यान्तिम अधमां गतिम् ततो यान्तिम अधमां गतिम् attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. So it's a very bleak future. If one has such a mentality and cherishes it, doesn't see it as negative, but rather thinks that this is the way to be, and continues like that, and tries always using his envious, mischievous attitude to always harm others for his own selfish interest, then he will just keep going in demoniac species, go lower and lower and lower. And unless one recognizes his problem and makes an effort to come out, actually he is in a hopeless situation. Krishna says it is not a problem if you are low, but if you recognize and are willing to rectify, you still have hope. Because in the 4th chapter, Krishna says, if you are situated on the boat of transcendental knowledge, even though you are the greatest sinner of all sinners, you can cross over material existence. And what does knowledge begin with? Knowledge begins with understanding that I have a problem. That there is something wrong I am doing and I need to rectify. Yes? What is the beginning of every solution? Acknowledging that there is a problem. If you don't acknowledge there is a problem, what is the question of solving? Yes? There is nothing to solve. Because there is no problem in me. I am wonderful. The problem is in you. You cannot see how wonderful I am. You cannot see why it is correct to do all the things that I am doing, which you think are wrong, but I am justified. Like the British, when they were ruling India, they were looking so low down upon the Indians. They think, what is the problem if these people die? These are uncivilized people. We are the ones who have come to do good to them. So if they die, it's okay. What is more important is my comfort. If a few Indians die for my comfort, what is the problem? So the demoniac justify their cruelty and selfishness by this kind of logic. I came across one, 550. Okay, I'll tell the story next time. Anyway, this is the mentality of the demoniac. The demoniac mentality always justifies its own actions through false logic to try to make it appear that he is right and others are wrong, and how and why he is justified in doing what he is doing. And as long as one has that mentality, Krishna is saying, there is no hope of redemption. But the problem is, once you are trapped in this mentality, it is so difficult to recognize that you have a problem. The only way you can actually recognize that there is a problem is when you somehow accidentally, through some special causeless grace, come into contact with a saintly person, by the influence of whose goodness you are able, at least for a few moments, to see the deplorable condition that you are stuck in. And if you seize that opportunity of that momentary insight and you grasp it, then you have some hope. You understand what I'm saying? Like when Valmiki, who was previously a dacoit, a robber who would murder people, he came in front of Narad Muni, and Narad Muni's influence somehow helped him to introspect and understand that what he is doing is wrong. At that moment, he seized that opportunity and said, yes, now by your influence, I am able to understand. Because you are such a saintly person, by your blessings, I am able to understand. Yes, I will give up my old ways and I am willing to improve. That was the turning point. If he had not met a great soul and that great soul hadn't causelessly bestowed the mercy, was there any hope for him? No. Correct? If we would have gone and met him and given him the same wisdom, if we are not sufficiently spiritually powerful, it may not make the same influence on him. Because it is not just about giving some logic and some quoting some shlokas. We should have sufficient spiritual strength that in our presence and in our instruction there is sufficient spiritual illumination to make the person see his own precarious situation. Yes? Okay? So that is what Krishna is saying. In the last few verses, Krishna is actually summarizing. In verse 21, Krishna is actually telling what are the main three things that one should be careful of. And then there are the last couple of verses where very beautifully the Lord summarizes what should be the guiding light for all of us. We will not go to that today. We will conclude the chapter in the next one. But essentially this brings us to the culmination or the culmination of the sequence of verses which is describing the demoniac mentality. Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? So we will Kirtan for a moment. Namo Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Yutinami Krishna Krishna Hare